Welcome back to Focus Today. Buckle your seatbelt. And unfortunately, Todd has to buckle his. Normally on a show, he's jumping all around, he's running all around, he's doing crazy things. But today we had to put him in a chair with a seatbelt. Todd Friel's with us, host of Wretched TV, which, by the way, debuts on Dove Television tonight. So, Todd, nice to have you with us. How you doing, my friend?
You be very careful how you treat me. I could gore you with my new haircut.
You know, I just made comments on that before we went on the air. I said, he's got a new do. Did he stick his finger in a wall socket? What'd you do?
I wanted to look like a 14-year-old. So they're involved. It was a coupon and a weed whacker, and I don't know what happened after that.
I say, you didn't pay money for that, did you?
Harry, I'm not kidding. I got my hair cut one time at a place. The girl was cutting, like, back here. You know, you can't see what's going on.
Yeah.
I suddenly heard a sound, and she swore. You know you're in big trouble when your stylist, because that's what you call them these days, actually lets out a curse word when they grind the thing into your head.
Well, that's kind of like a surgeon saying, oops.
Exactly.
Hey, nice to have you with us. Welcome to the Dove TV family lineup. We are honored and delighted to carry your program and looking forward to it. Airs tonight at 11:30 and working its way to prime time, I'm sure. But what's tonight all about? What's the first series, the first program about?
Tonight, okay, imagine this. You're a pastor and a Jewish abortion doctor walks into your office and says, "Can you help me?" What would you say? We're going to hear that story. I'm telling you, I will tell you this, Perry. It is not the most visually stimulating presentation ever, but hearing this pastor describe what he said and how the man responded and the power of the gospel, if you don't sit there going like that at your TV, I'm telling you, it's a terrific story. It's very much a pro-life episode tonight that we're kicking off on the Dove Network. By the way, we are thrilled to pieces about that. And it might sting a little bit because there's a little bit of a conviction to this particular show. Francis Schaeffer said that the local abortion clinic only exists by permission of the local church. So the question is, how do we get involved? What do we do? What don't we do in the pro-life movement and the Holocaust that we're seeing today?
No question about it. Well, you know, what's so interesting about what you've done, by the way, I love your set, everything you do. For those of us who are in broadcasting, I don't know who your producer is and how you put it all together, but it's masterfully done, and I want to commend you on that. But you're taking on the issues of the day, and that's what I appreciate. Now, there's a lot of craziness involved, but you make your point, and I want to commend you for that.
I brought this just for you. Do you know what this is? You can't see it, so I'm going to read it to you.
All right.
This was sent to me from an 8th grade parent in Massachusetts. Are you ready for this, Perry?
Yeah, go for it.
Dear parents, it's a permission slip. In Writer's Workshop, we're learning about how-to writing, how to write how-to stuff.
Yeah.
Because if you've ever tried to assemble a present or a toy for your kid, those directions which are so miserable, well, this is how-to writing.
Yeah.
We believe the best way to learn how to do something is to actually do it. Our class is going to try to learn how to blow a bubble with bubble gum. 2 exclamation points after that, so they need a bit of a writer's workshop themselves. Then write the steps involved with doing this activity. This should be fun. 3 exclamation points. Okay, here comes the punchline. Are you ready? Due to our wellness policy, parents have to fill out the permission slip below. Parents have to fill out a permission slip for their chew bubble gum. It was just resolved that a child under the age of 16 can now get the morning after pill without permission of their parents, but you got to sign a permission slip for your kid to chew Bubblicious. If our country isn't completely flipped on its head right now, I don't know what's going on.
Well, it is. And you know what's scary to me, Todd, is that the faith community is accepting it. Why?
There's right now, well, Perry, I think right now there's so much going on that is just bonkers out there. The Hub Kids Network just launched a show aged 2 to 12. That's their target audience, called Shizao. It's the story of a boy who puts on a super ring and becomes a girl super fighter. Okay.
Oh, boy.
Okay. How's it about an ABC Family, a new kind of family? It's called The Fosters, and Heather has 2 mommies. I mean, it's just what's going on with the Boy Scouts. It's just there's so much happening right now that the Christian, I think, is starting to feel a little overwhelmed.
Well, overwhelmed, and they also feel like, well, what can I do? I mean, what's one thing? But, you know, there is one thing everybody can do, and that's vote. Because if you look at the amount of Christians who are eligible to vote, don't vote, and those who are registered to vote don't vote, there's enough in those numbers right there to sway any election.
Yeah, I don't think the Christian should give up our civic duty and responsibility. I think we have a chance to love our neighbor through our voting. I don't think that we should be seeking utopia on earth, but we should try at least to leave our little corner of the world a little bit better than when we found it, as good stewards of the planet.
Right, right. Of all the things going on in Washington, which one do you think is the hottest?
Oh. Okay, last night, Mrs. Friel, we were flipping on the TV because, you know, that's what you do. You flip by. And it was the very end of the Miss USA pageant. So thankfully, the women were dressed at least appropriately in their gowns. By the way, in Indonesia, the Miss Universe pageant, they can't wear a bikini there because of the religion of peace, at any rate, which I don't actually have a problem with. But the point, so the women were being asked questions last night. Specifically, one of the questions, a tough one in the Q&A, was, do you think that the government should be allowed to listen to our phone conversations so that we can be protected? And her answer was, yes, I do. And I thought, well, then you shouldn't be Miss USA. You should be Miss Russia. That isn't America. That's not freedom to have the government eavesdrop on our conversations. I think there's a lot of issues right now that just demonstrate they are symptoms of a much deeper problem right now in our country.
All right, we've often wondered what would a culture look like when God is silenced or kicked out. This is it, isn't it?
Well, the question is, are we being judged, or is what we are seeing already the judgment from God? That is a great theological question.
Yeah, you know, and I think you make a great point there, because the Scripture talks about things that are done in secret and in darkness would be revealed from the housetop. It appears that God's pulling the cover back. And by the way, Todd, most of these scandals, a great number of them, broke 1 week to the day after the president stood in front of Planned Parenthood and said, God bless you.
Oh, and then one football player, I think he plays for the Ravens.
Ravens, right, yeah.
I can't go to the White House because he actually said that. Some people are applauding it. Some people are shellacking him. Hey, speaking of football, Perry, I'm going to make a prediction about Tim Tebow.
Okay.
I think the culture has so radically changed since he played for Denver a year and a half ago. I think the reception that he gets in New England isn't going to be nearly as warm as it was when he was in Denver, because I think the culture has changed so radically with their attitude toward Christians in the last year and a half alone. Yeah,
well, didn't Jay Leno said he'll probably be audited because now he's a patriot.
Right. Jay Leno told a funny joke. Right. Just in time. That's true. If you look around, things are so radically different than they used to be. And I think the church should be asking themselves the question, all right, what are we supposed to be doing now? I think one of the best things that we can be doing is preaching the gospel, which changes the heart, which changes the mind, which changes the feet and the hands and the mouth and the eyes and the ears. All
right. The big question for you today is, Todd, how did you come up with the word wretched for your programs?
It's biblical.
Okay. That it?
Will save me from this body of death. And so it's a Latin phrase the reformers used to use, simul justus et peccator. We are simultaneously justified because of Jesus, and yet we're still sinning. And Paul recognized that tension in the Christian life. He's the wretched man, but thanks be to God, because of what Jesus did, we're forgiven wretches.
All right, well said. So your program is really different. Did you come up with the programming idea, the platform for what you do?
The reality is, Perry,
your wife.
when you have ADHD, you got to figure out a way to make a living.
Oh, there you go.
And so this was kind of our effort to put the whole shebang together so that we could just feed our children. We have a little difficult time focusing. And so what we think is that Jesus is actually more interesting, I know this is shocking, than politics or Barack Obama.
Yeah.
And so we just like to talk about what's going on in the world, in our lives, family, to show that theology actually applies to reality.
Well, you do a great job with that. By the way, do you have any siblings?
2. Does this have to do with the IRS also?
I'm working there. Where are you in the lineup?
I'm number 3.
Ah, I guessed it. I told this crew, you're a baby.
And you want to know what's scary?
What?
My mother still thinks I'm a baby.
Yeah,
I'm not kidding.
Yeah, well, you need to read Kevin. You got to get Kevin Lehman on your show. Yeah, you need to get Kevin Lehman as a guest on your show. Dr. Kevin Lehman, you wrote the birth order book. Yeah.
Okay, all right, to demonstrate. One year, I'm an adult, clearly. I gave my mother this. It wasn't a real Monet, but it was like a Monet painting with a really ornate frame around it, right?
Yeah.
She hung it on the refrigerator with magnets.
Oh,
I'm not even making this up. Once I was lighting the candles for the Thanksgiving dinner, and I went to throw the match away into the garbage can, and my mother said, "Don't throw that in the garbage." And I said, "Well, I'm gonna run it underneath water, Mom." And she said, "Well, don't use hot water."
oh boy.
Okay, Mom. You know, because you're always the baby, and you just always get treated like the baby, no matter how old you are.
Oh, there you go. Well, there you go. Well, again, where do you think God's taking you in your show? Because to me, it's just really well produced.
Well, I'll tell you, Perry, we really have a desire to do Christian TV to demonstrate that Christians aren't flaky, they're not weird, and that our theology actually works. So we've done about 1,200 episodes of Wretched TV. We would like to start creating more different types of Christian TV shows. There's no reason there can't be a Christian home and garden type program where we hear the gospel and see home and gardening tips.
Right.
There's no reason that Christian TV couldn't be dominating a lot of different networks with great Christian TV. So that's what we'd like to see ourselves doing more.
Well, I commend you on that because HGTV, which I love to watch, but it seems to be taken over by one particular culture and it's starting to get a little insane.
I'm so glad to hear you say that.
Yeah.
And my wife and I, because, okay, we're geeky. We're the people who like to look at people's windows, which is basically what Home and Garden TV is about. Yeah. Why is it that we see so many same-sex couples on HGTV when they take up supposedly 2% of the population? It's not very
I wrote a letter to the producer and never got a response, but I thought, you know, you got such good content until it comes to that. You obviously have a social agenda. There's no question about it. So, well, Todd, thank you for doing what you do, being crazy like you are, but at the same time passionate about your ministry and the convictions that God has in your life. I think this is absolutely wonderful. The Wretched TV starts tonight on theDove TV, and look forward to many times together. And what's coming up in the future in the way of content?
Way of content, we're tackling all of these issues that we're seeing, whether it's the Boy Scout issue, how should a church respond? Marijuana, it's now legal to smoke. We're now seeing some pastors saying, God doesn't care if you smoke pot. What does the youth minister say about those issues? What does the youth minister say about a lot of the issues that our kids are going to be asking as we face this whole brave new world that we're facing?
You do a great job. Thanks, my friend. Welcome to the lineup. God bless you. Hang in there. We'll talk to you many times soon, okay?
Thank you, Perry. We are thrilled to pieces. Thanks to the Dove Network.
You bet. See you. We'll see you next time on Focus Today.